lifelong learning at Roden Library. I'm librarian Joyce Ellison, here with Bernice Banks, a retired federal civil servant of the U.S. Treasury Department. Bernice is a Hawkinsville native, but her career has taken her across America. When she came home to Pulaski County a few years ago, Bernice got involved with a variety of local organizations, including this library. For her work to make our community a better place, the Hawkinsville Chamber of Commerce named her the 2020 Citizen of the Year. Today, we'll talk about identity theft. First, the basics, and then what to do if it happens to you. Well, Bernice, can you tell us what is identity theft?
Yes, thank you for those kind words. Let me start by saying that I'm not an expert on identity theft. In fact, the information we'll talk about is available to the public. But what I'll do today is to talk about some of that basic information in plain, simple, understandable terms. So, what is identity theft? If you look in the dictionary, you'll see that there are several definitions for the word identity. I think the most basic definition is who you are. Let me explain. There are lots of ways that state who you are, ways that distinguish you from everybody else. For example, your name is Joyce, my name is Bernice. Our names are a way of identifying us and distinguishing us. Now, as for theft, we know that theft refers to stealing something that's not yours, taking something that doesn't belong to you, taking something that wasn't given to you. Now, putting the two words together, identity theft is the act of someone stealing who you are. Someone pretending to be you, usually for the purpose of committing fraud or crime.
Well, you mentioned my name as a form of my identity, as a way of stating who I am. What other ways are there to say I'm Joyce?
That's a good question. Companies, organizations, governments will assign numbers or codes to identify the people that they do business with. Each code is unique, meaning that it's different. No two people have the same number or code. For example, take your Social Security number. As citizens of the United States, we're required to have a Social Security number, but everybody's number is different. Think about driving. To legally drive a vehicle in the United States, you have to have a driver's license, and each driver's license has a different number. Everybody has a telephone these days. Phones have numbers, so everybody has a different telephone number. And even here at the library, when you issue a library card, that card has a unique number on it that is connected to the person that you're issuing the card to. So just think for a minute, how many other numbers or codes might be linked to you? If you are a student, you would have a student number at school. If you have a job, you might have an employee number. If you have a relationship with a bank, you'd have bank account numbers, and just on and on. We have lots and lots of numbers, codes, and documents that are connected to us and that lead to information about us. information that says who you are, and that information is personal and is sensitive. So think of your name as just the beginning, just the start of who you are.
Well, who are targets of identity theft?
You asked really good questions. Every one of us and any one of us could be exposed to identity theft. The young and the elderly, the healthy, the infirm, the educated, the uneducated, high income, low income, family, friends, everybody is potentially a target for identity theft. You see, there is so much information in so many places about us. Places like medical offices, financial institutions, government offices, insurance companies, just lots of places. And the information at those places, whether it's in hard copy form or whether it's on a computer, could be at risk of being stolen. And that risk makes us all potential targets for identity theft.
Well, can you tell us some examples of the harm that identity theft can cause?
Identity theft puts a big drain and a big strain on your money, your emotions, and your time. By pretending to be you, thieves can steal your money from your bank. They can charge things on your credit cards. They can open accounts for new credit cards, apply for loans. They can use your medical information, set up utilities. They can file a tax return and get your refund. And as if that weren't enough, they can sell your information to other thieves or scammers. Now, I do have a caution for parents. Parents should protect the children's identity very closely, because when it comes to children, the theft may not be known until the children become adults, which is many years later. So imagine the horror of a young person applying for a student loan and just to find out that their identity was stolen when they were a child.
Well, Bernice, how do these people get someone else's personal information? And what can we do to prevent them from getting all our personal information?
Well, we know that theft is a crime. And when I think of identity theft, the crimes of burglary, robbery, break-ins, stealing mail from mailboxes come to my mind. And those crimes come to mind because they involve taking personal type things usually, whether it's purses and wallets that could contain identification cards, whether it's computers that have your personal information. And of course we know mailboxes, the mail is our main mode of communication. All kinds of data is transmitted between you and people you know or companies you do business with. So how do you stop it? You lock your doors. Lock your car doors, your home doors. You leave your checkbooks at home. Don't carry your Social Security cards. Take your mail out of your mailboxes. If you're going to be away, put your mail on hold at the post offices. And keep your valuables out of sight and safely secured away. And when it comes to the computers and smartphones, put password protection on them. Now remember, we're talking about how people get access to our personal information. So there's some other ways too. Not necessarily criminal ways, but there are other ways. Like from your trash. Before you throw away your papers and documents, make sure your name, address, account numbers are blacking out. You can burn or shred those documents. People get information from our telephone calls. It's important to know who you're talking with. If you don't know them, I suggest just hanging up. Companies like the IRS, Social Security Administration, they will not call you and ask you for your personal information. Be alert for phishing, that's spelled with a P. And with phishing, thieves will send fake emails or text messages to you. And in those emails or texts, they might say, oh, your account needs to be verified. Click here or respond to this link. I just have one word: stop. Don't do it. Delete the email or the text. But I know that being human, sometimes we think, oh, well, maybe that was a real email or a real text. What I suggest you do is that you look the company name up in the phone book or call your friend or that person and say, hey, I just got an email or a text. Did you send it to me? Chances are they'll say, no, that wasn't me.
Oh, this is good to know. Are there other ways that thieves can get our information?
Probably more ways than you and I can even imagine. But I will say that sometimes we give thieves our information. Organizations like the government, IRS and Social Security, have a legitimate need for our Social Security numbers and our information. Even our jobs need that information, but they won't call us to ask for it. So whenever you are asked for personal information, realize that it's okay for you to ask the requester some questions. Like, why do you want my Social Security number? Do you need it? Why do you want my mother's maiden name? Questions like, instead of my Social Security number, how about I just give you the last 4 digits of it? Another important question would be, how will you protect my information if I give it to you? So be very careful with personal information and who you give it to. Other ways that we give people our information is through social media. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of these social media outlets. Limit what you put out there. Just be careful about putting your information on those sites. We give our information to trusted people sometimes. Family, friends, caregivers. Just try to keep it restricted to people who have a need to know. When it comes to computers and smartphone devices, open lines or like a picnic for cybersecurity thieves. So beware of using Wi-Fi in public places. Use strong passwords. Put security protection on your devices. And if you plan to get new computers or new phones, be sure to delete all of your information from those devices first. So I'll end with hackers. Just one more thing. Hackers thrive on finding your personal information. So, and there's not a lot we can do about it. We can just hope that companies are protecting our information. And, you know, we hear about data breaches from time to time in the news. On a personal level, we just have to protect our systems by having security on them and using good passwords.
Well, Bernice, how would I even know if my identity has been stolen? What are some signs?
To be aware of the signs, you really need to pay attention to your business. When you get your statements for your credit cards or your bills, look at them carefully. You're looking to see if there are transactions on it or activity that you didn't do. You're looking for withdrawals from your accounts that you didn't make. So you just have to look closely at your information. That could be a sign that somebody is using your accounts. If you get a bill from a new company, somebody that you know you don't do business with, that could mean somebody's using your information. If your bills stop coming, that could be a sign that somebody has changed the billing address on your accounts and they're using your cards, but they don't want you to see the statements. If there's a sudden drop in your credit score, that could mean that somebody's purchasing things and it has caused the ratio of your debt to income to change, which would lower your credit score. If you're out and about and you use your credit card or attempt to, and it's declined, that could mean somebody has been using your card and your identity has been stolen. So just pay attention to your business.
Well, it certainly seems like we need to be very careful with our personal information. So what can we do if we discover that someone's stolen our identity?
If you think it has been stolen or if it has actually been stolen, there are 5 things you should do first. One is you want to immediately contact your credit card companies and the banks you do business with. The second thing you want to do is to contact the credit reporting companies, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and ask them to place a fraud alert on your account. Then you want to go online to annualcreditreport.com to request a copy of your credit report so that you can review it for any unusual activity. Then you want to file a report with the Federal Trade Commission at identitytheft.gov. And the 5th thing to do at the very top of your list is to contact your local police. And when you go with them, be sure to take a copy of the report from identitytheft.gov. The 5 actions that I just talked about will halt or slow down a thief. But you may need to take additional actions just to clean up the mess that the thieves made. Like replacing your identification on your driver's license. Like closing credit card accounts that they opened. Like trying to get expenses removed from your cards that they made on your cards. Clearing up police records. Another thing might be removing expenses that were incurred in your name. So there's just some cleanup that has to be done.
Well, do you have any parting advice to share with us?
We have to keep in mind that criminals look for opportunities. So my advice would be, do not make it easy for criminals to steal your identity.
Very good advice. Well, Bernice, thanks to you, I'm going to pay better attention to all those numbers that make me Joyce. And it's really good to know that phone calls from Social Security and IRS are not legitimate. So thank you for your great advice on protecting our identity and what we can do if it does happen.
Oh, you're welcome. And there'll be information, contact numbers on screen during this presentation, and our viewers should know that information is available to them.
Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
for another edition of Lifelong Learning at Roden Library.